What's going on, everybody? I'm Jory Goodman, the Time Teller. It's officially a new year. It's 2021, January 2021, so we're very early on. And what's so funny is if we look back to the first episode I ever made in 2020, we were so hopeful. We were so starry-eyed, looking forward to the future. We had no idea what laid before us at that time. So maybe this year we need to be like a bit more tempered about this new year. No, screw that. Okay, screw that. I'm gonna kick this off with a bang. We're gonna go over all the crappy watches, all the crummy watches of 2020, so we can get it just out of the way and we can look forward to this beautiful new year. We're gonna make it a great one. Okay, so without further ado, here's all the crappy, worst watches of 2020. Clean slate, baby. It's 2:14 p.m. Let's get down to business. Okay guys, so you know how Gerard Perregaux came out with that really cool slot machine watch? It's like literally a slot machine on your wrist. Yeah, the first watch we're going to talk about is not that. It's actually a Hublot Big Bang variant MP11 Red Magic. So you'll notice it doesn't have a cool slot machine on the dial anywhere. It just has like this really dinky time dial. So like the dial that you'd actually use to tell the time is really, really small. And then where it looks kind of like a slot machine is just an enormously obnoxious power reserve indicator. So it tells you how many days as it ticks down you have left on the power reserve. How freaking obnoxious. So if the Big Bang was like not ugly enough, they wanted to make this pseudo slot machine really, really ugly power reserve indicator. So for all of you who tell me that you don't like power reserve indicators on the dial, I'd love to hear what you think about this one. It is so ugly. It is a Hublot, so we know that you're gonna Hublot your money away when you buy it. And perhaps the biggest joke about this watch is that it's like over $86,000 for a really ugly Hublot. And again, once you buy this watch, good luck getting rid of it because you're going to want to, and yeah, we all know Hublot prices. But guys, that was January 2020. Okay, we had no idea what was going on, right? So as time progressed, it just got worse from there. Next up, a few grand Seikos. Now, before you jump down my throat and say, hey, wait a minute, I thought you liked those watches. I did. Kind of. You see, here before us are three reissues of the original Grand Seiko, the J14070. And these watches might look familiar to you because I own the J14070, the first ever Grand Seiko. So, of course, these watches, just from a visual standpoint, look beautiful in my opinion. And from a mechanical standpoint, they also are beautiful. But here's the big issue. I enjoyed these watches when Grand Seiko released them in 2017. That's right, they actually already released these watches, so I think they kind of jumped the gun a bit. They probably shouldn't have released these in 2017. They probably should have waited 3 more years and released these during their 60th anniversary, but no, they released a reissue of the first ever Grand Seiko in 2017, and then they realized that they were out of ideas for their 60th anniversary, and then they reissued the reissue. Just such a bummer. Okay, Grand Seiko is one of the most innovative companies ever, right? Their watchmaking prowess is second to none. You put a Grand Seiko next to any other Swiss watch, the Grand Seiko is probably a lot better. But why did they do this? It's just surprisingly lazy from a company, a watchmaker that puts in so much effort to their watches. I gotta put it on the worst watch list, I'm sorry. Next up, a watch we all absolutely love to hate. Remember the Longa Odysseus? Oh, I know what you're thinking. Wait, that didn't come out in 2020. That came out in 2019. Well, a certain variant did come out in 2020, and it's now available in white gold. And you don't need that ugly bracelet, guys. You can have it on an ugly leather strap or an ugly silicone strap. So what are you complaining about? I'll tell you what we're complaining about. The watch is still f***ing hideous. I'm drinking English breakfast. Decaf. So I won't get that crazy today, guys, don't worry. Now I know what you're thinking, why do you freak out about this watch? And why do so many people hate this Longa? After all, it's one of the best German watchmakers, perhaps one of the best watchmakers, period. Well, let's take a look. People really complained about that bracelet from this watch when it was first released, so I guess Longa went back to the drawing board and they gave us something new. Kind of. I guess Longa decided to go back to the drawing board and offer the watch with an integrated leather strap or an integrated rubber strap. But what's funny is that didn't solve the problem at all, because the problem wasn't with the bracelet itself. It was with this hideously oversized lug system, and then what's with these like crown guards that aren't really crown guards at all. So it has this really weird asymmetrical case shape, these two weird squared off angles towards the crown, but it doesn't go over the crown, so of course those aren't crown guards. And then why are the lugs so thick and so tall? It doesn't make sense. This makes a new modern Rolex Submariner look good. So is it cool that Longa decided to give us a sports watch? Yeah, that's awesome. It's truly a sports watch. It has a 120-meter water resistance rating. The construction is probably impeccable. I'm sure the craftsmanship is second to none, and of course it's Longa, so the movement, everything inside of it, I'm sure pristine. But the truth is, it's hideous. It is terribly ugly. It's horrendous, perhaps one of the worst Longas ever introduced. Moving on, a little bit later in May of 2020, Omega decided to give us an iteration of the Omega Speedmaster. Oh my god! It's almost like Omega has never learned their lesson and keeps introducing way too many variants of the same watch over and over and over again, thus devaluing the watches they already have and creating a huge field day for people that want to replicate these watches, because no one really knows if it's a real Omega or not, because Omega's made way too many Omegas. Weird how that works. Introducing the Omega Speedmaster in full Sedna or yellow gold with diamonds. That's right, these 38mm precious metal Speedmasters are something to behold. So beautiful, so impeccable, so sparkly, so Michael Kors. That's what I think of when I see these. Disgusting. Listen, I love the Omega Speedmaster. I own an Omega Speedmaster. I think every watch collector should spend some time at least learning about the Omega Speedmaster, because it's truly a prolific or logically significant timepiece. But why do you have to sully it, making it ugly and gaudy, maybe a bit gauche? I hate it. But Time Teller has the coaxial escapement and the free sprung blah, 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 blah. I don't care. It looks like a freaking Michael Kors or maybe one of these Movado Bolds. I hate looking at these. So let's relax. Okay, let's, I told you that I'm drinking decaffeinated English breakfast. I'm not even having decaf coffee today, okay? I don't want even the smallest semblance of caffeine in my system, because I knew that there was potential for this episode to go a bit off the rails. So no coffee today. No coffee of any kind. Tea. Decaf tea. I don't know about you, but a nice cup of tea, English breakfast, any time of day, maybe even an Earl Grey, just calms me down. Decaf, of course. You gotta find decaf. So, I told you guys in 2021, I'm gonna try to mature. I know that I'm kind of the wild child in the watch world, the watch YouTube world, and yeah, no coffee today. We're gonna get back to the list. Let me just zen out for a second. What is this? I asked for tea, okay, no coffee! Tag Heuer has to ruin everything, my little moment of peace. Okay, I was trying to do better in 2021, but they keep pulling me back. That's right, the BWD X Badger work, Tag Heuer Carrera Calibre 5 with tropical coffee dial. You know what this looks like? Poop. I'm not even trying to make a like blue joke here. I'm not trying to be, bathroom humor. It looks like poop on the dial. So we all know and love Bamford and the work they've done with Rolex. They've made some edgy, hardcore, modified Rolexes. Ooh, they look so nice with the coatings and the dials. I'd love to own a Bamford Rolex. But why did they have to do this with Tag? I know they don't work with Rolex much anymore, but look at this poop dial tag. Who wants a Bamford poop dial? Hey, you want the new Carrera Calibre 5 poop dial? Oh, I love it. I heard that Bamford literally took a Carrera from Tag Heuer and literally pooped on the dial. You're into that? It's funny that they call it the coffee dial. Because sometimes when people drink too much coffee, it makes them have a little bit of rumbling in their tummy and they need to poop. So maybe that's why they call it the coffee dial, because Bamford drank a lot of coffee and pooped on the dial. I'm done. You know what? 2021's ruined. But it doesn't stop there, guys, because Tag Heuer had to F it up for everyone. So in June of 2020, Hublot joined the party again. You remember when I complained about that January release of the Big Bang MP11 with that gross slot machine power reserve? This Big Bang E. Because if you put E on anything, it's like, ooh, the future. That's right, guys. So if Apple Watches are just too casual for you and you want something that's really, really high-tech and cutting edge, why not spend over $5,000 on a Hublot Big Bang E that will be obsolete in about 6 months? I really don't need to spend much time on this watch because I complained about it a ton in this episode if you click up here, but yeah, over $5,000 for a watch that will literally be obsolete in less than a year. This came out June 2020. I bet by now it's already obsolete. And moving on to a watch with a similar aesthetic, you know, just as ugly but probably more functional than that Hublot, is the Hamilton Khaki Navy Below Zero. Now this is specifically the Tenet edition. Now, Hamilton has become essentially an in-house Hollywood watchmaker. And what I mean by that is whenever a new blockbuster comes out, Hamilton is right there with the studio, eager to supply them with a wristwatch. And I can't hate on them, okay? That's great publicity. You know, it's advertising, it's marketing, baby. But why you gotta make the watch so ugly? You know what, guys? I complained about this watch back in 2015 when this was worn on Matt Damon's wrist in the movie The Martian, but I didn't have a YouTube channel in 2015, so I was just in my office screaming at the wall. But now that I have a camera in front of me, I'm gonna make up for some lost time here. The bolts on all 4 corners make it look like a bull of a precisionist, and that's just horrendously ugly. The PVD coating is cool, and apparently it's rated to 1,000 meters of water resistance. So hey, I'm not complaining about that, but here's what I will complain about. The case shape, the horrendously ugly industrial design. Again, those stupid bolts going out of all 4 corners. Let's see, the limited edition marketing, the limited edition price tag. Yes, this will cost you well over $2,000. So easily, this is one of the most functional watches on the list just by its spec sheet. Again, we're talking about 1,000 meters of water resistance rating, really durable PVD coating. I think it has an 80-hour power reserve. On paper, this watch is amazing, but then when you look at it, you're like, woof. Just leave it in the fictional world, please. Next up to a very, very ugly watch as well. This is not nearly as industrial as it could have been. You know, the AP Royal Oak is one of the first industrial luxury watches to hit the scene. It made big waves when it came out, and it had the bolts going through the bezel and the angular bezel and just everything about it. Really sharp integrated bracelet. But this AP Royal Oak concept, and it's known as the Frosted Gold Flying Tourbillon. Who would wear this? Like, it still has the bolts going through the bezel and it still has the angular bezel, but it's much more smooth than like an actual typical Royal Oak would be. And then that dial, it looks like a weird fever dream. It's like you took too much Robitussin or something. God, reminds me of my early high school days. Listen, guys, it's an interesting watch for sure. It's just horrendously ugly and it's gotta be on the list today. I'm sorry. Link agrees. I don't know if you could hear him, but he agrees. You can't come in here because then you rub against the tripod and you mess up the shot. Yep, 1 sec, bud. Next up on the list of the worst watches for 2020, you know, let me just tell you the date that these watches came out and might just give it away. September. Ring any bells? Who had a big release slated for September? Rolex. I'm gonna complain about Rolex right now. That's right, guys, you're probably expecting me to complain about the Rolex Submariner because, hey, they bumped it up to 41 millimeters, they slimmed the lugs down, so in my head, larger diameter, slimmer lugs kind of cancel each other out. Hey, they didn't really change anything at all, did they? But I'm not gonna complain about that. Even though I kind of already just did. See what I just slid it in there. What I really want to complain about is the 41 millimeter Oyster Perpetual. That's right, this is much more of an egregious offense in my opinion, because what the f are they doing? Like, actually, what are they doing? The Oyster Perpetual is supposed to be their understated, sleek, a little bit sporty offering. It doesn't need to contend with the Submariner. They're literally making it the same size as a Submariner. That should blow your mind. I know that like around 2018, people were like, hey, I wonder if the trend is actually starting to go smaller. Maybe the bigger is better thing in the watch industry has come to an end and we're actually seeing a downward trend in case sizes. Well, then what the f is going on here? Guys, I'm sorry, I'm cursing a lot, but hopefully Gato's doing a good job bleeping it out. If you want proof that we're still in the bigger is better phase in the watch industry, just look at what Rolex is doing. Okay, I cannot believe that sure, they bumped up the Submariner to 41 millimeters, but their Oyster Perpetual line is now the same size as their flagship dive watch. Unreal. I personally can't wait for the days when watchmakers realize that this is not what we want and start, you know, making the sizes a bit more reasonable. This is not how an Oyster Perpetual was supposed to wear, and Rolex is just quickly becoming a laughingstock in my opinion. That's why modern Rolex, I'm very excited to see what they do in 2021. They're gonna bump their deep sea to like 52 millimeters. And they're gonna put the Oyster Perpetual at like 45. Just mark my words. Next up on the list of worst watches for 2020, the Ralph Lauren Polo watch. Now, when I think Polo watch, I think Reverso. No big deal, I own one, solid 18 karat yellow gold, whatever. But I'm not talking about a Polo watch as in like a watch you'd wear to play polo. I'm talking about like Ralph Lauren Polo. They made a watch, big deal. So why is it on my list of worst watches for 2020? Well, because everyone was freaking out that, oh, this fashion mogul is releasing a watch and it's the first watch to bear the polo player on the dial. Okay, who cares? That doesn't make it a good watch. This is proof that companies will just produce things with their brand all over it because they know people care more about the brand associated with their items than like actual craftsmanship or functionality. So this is catered to a group of people who want the Polo brand name all over their stuff and will pay big money for it and not really worry about like what's in the watch or anything. And this is weird because Ralph Lauren has actually come out with some really impressive watches. Some of their chronographs that have JLC movements in them. Like Ralph Lauren, I'm not making fun of them because, you know, oh my God, they have the audacity to come out with a watch. No, some of their watches in the past have been real heavy hitters in my opinion. But this and the marketing associated with it, it's just ridiculous. I don't care about this watch being the first watch to have the polo player and the horse on the dial. It doesn't make it a good watch. It makes it look cheap in my opinion. And I know Ralph Lauren isn't cheap, but this just makes it look cheap. I don't know. And guys, there's a little trade secret in the writing profession. If you mention something twice, you gotta mention it a third time. So you know what? Let's bring Hublot back for the third and final time with the Hublot Classic Fusion 40-year anniversary. 40 years young and still looks hideous. Hey guys, you want a really overpriced, hideous watch that will probably fall apart in like the second month you wear it? Check out this 40th anniversary Hublot. That's right guys, they range in price from $8,300 all the way to $25,200. That's just a tiny, small price to pay for a glorified, well, piece of garbage. I was thinking about, you know, a funny punchline, but the truth is, it's just, that is the punchline. Look at it. And I know people are going to be like, Time Teller just makes lists to complain about Hublot and tag Heuer and Tudor. That's right. You thought you guys were safe. You thought. It's a new year. The Time Teller's turned a new leaf. He's not going to make fun of Tudor. He wouldn't do that to us. Fools. The Tudor Royal Collection! This is f***ing disgusting. Wow, 2021 is the year that I just stopped giving a f***. You know the funny thing, guys, is that I actually haven't sworn a single time in this episode. I've been saying fudge, but Gato just keeps bleeping it out. See, fudge, 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 fudge. It's technically not a swear word, but when we put a little quack or like a little whoop, I don't know what noises are you using, Gato? I don't know. But when we do it, it's just like a funny punchline. But I'm actually gonna swear right now. That's right, the Tudor Royal or the Tudor Royale, however you want to say it. Yeah, it's really funny because like the last 2 years were the years of like blue dial integrated bracelet sports watches, and then Tudor they couldn't help themselves. And the funniest part is that they introduced this like towards the end of 2020, and it's like it's just so them to be so lazy and like late to the party. They had to come out with one, but they do it just like way after everyone else does. So yeah, if you want like an ugly engine turned bezel and then it looks like a really cheap rattly integrated bracelet, no border or magnifier on the date complication, and of course, because that would be too Rolex if they put a magnifier on it. And they have a few, two-tone options, none in solid precious metal that I can find. They do have 100-meter water resistance ratings and threaded crowns. So essentially you're getting an uglier version. This is like an ugly variant of a Oyster quartz, maybe. Here's the deal though. I'd rather have a Rolex Oyster quartz movement because with these Tudors, you are spending anywhere from $2,300 to $3,975 for ETAs and Solitas. Oh, these are essentially Rolexes. Really? ETAs and Solitas for almost $4,000? It'll be $4,000 after tax. Yeah, no. Count me out. So there you have it, guys. These were the worst watches of 2020, so we can just start 2021 with a clean slate, and I'm very excited because next week, we're gonna take a look at all of the best watches of 2020. So maybe it'll give us some hope moving forward. So, bad news first, good news after. I spit tea all over my desk and now I'm gonna have to clean this up, so I'm gonna end the episode. All right, guys, I love you. Have a happy, healthy new year. I'm very happy that you're still hanging out with me, and we're almost at 150,000 subscribers. Can I just bring up that this is like insane? Like, this is actually insane to me. In 2017, when I started the channel, it was literally me like doing stupid bits like in front of the camera. It was like a stupid Nikon Coolpix that I was filming with. And now I'm here with 150,000 subscribers almost. It's kind of mind-boggling to me. So thank you so much, guys. Thank you to all my regular viewers, all my new viewers, because we're getting a ton of those. Thank you to my channel members. If you want to join the channel, then please click the join button next to the subscribe button, and it's like $4.99 a month. It's like YouTube's version of Patreon. You get 6 pieces of content a week there, and you get access to that members-only Discord chat. Check out all the affiliate links in the description below. A bunch of really cool like watch-related items there, and check out my personal website, www.thetimtellershop.com. All right, guys, thank you so much. I love you. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay blessed. Like, comment, and subscribe. I'm Jory Goodman, the Time Teller, and always remember, I didn't invent time. I just tell it. I made a mess. Hold on, Gato, close your eyes, because I'm going to blind you real quick by shining a light on the lens. All right, we're good. Actually, surprisingly, nothing was on the lens.